Welcome to my channel, Sweet Naya Reacts, and today's videos is about Americans making financial mistakes, investing in things that they actually regret, like purchasing homes, car payments, creating credit card debt, student loan debt, living for today and not thinking about the future, that they're going to have to keep making payments on all these things. So we're going to see what they got to say here in these videos.
Worst financial mistake I've ever made, I'll be honest with you guys, is this car that I'm currently driving. And it's not the car itself, like I literally love this car. I can't imagine myself driving anything else. It's the fact that I have car payments, which is so stupid. It literally makes me sick thinking about it. I wish we would have just waited like a year and maybe saved up like $20,000 in cash and bought a used car, because purchasing a brand new car was so dumb. Not only did it lose value like the second we drove it off the lot, but now we're paying interest payments on top of that. And this car is already 2 years old. Like, it was only brand new for like 5 minutes, so might as well have bought a used car.
That is true. Sometimes it is better to just save up the money and buy a used car, because after you get them paying off a vehicle that you created a loan for, it ends up being way more than what the car is worth. Way, way more. So, and it does lose value after you drive it off the lot.
But at least I learned that lesson in my early 20s so that I never do that again in my life.
One of the worst financial mistakes I've ever made, y'all, was when I fell into hard times. I went and applied for a high interest loan, and it has been kicking me in the ass ever since. I was a little careless with my money, but at one point I had lost my job and I needed the money, right? It's my money and I need it now type deal. But it's a deadly cycle. There is a movie that came out, and y'all, I have slept since then. It has Keke Palmer and SZA, and the whole premise of the movie is they need to come up with their rent money, I believe, by the end of the day. They try to do all these crazy things to come up with the rent. And there's this one little bit with Cat Williams. He's this homeless guy standing outside of a payday loan office, and he's literally warning people, like, don't do it. Long story short, y'all, he was not lying. Mind you, growing up, y'all, I was not taught anything about financial literacy. Nothing, right? Like majority of people, right? I was also the second oldest of, I got 6 brothers and sisters, y'all. There's 7 of us. So I was not raised in a rich, wealthy family. A lot of this shit, y'all, is you live and you learn, right? So we can woulda, coulda, shoulda all we want, but
Crazy. I'm the second oldest of 7 also.
I'm letting y'all know, if you've ever come across hard times, if you know you cannot pay off the high interest loan within your next paycheck or within 2 paychecks, do not do it. Do not do it. Do not do it. Thankfully, y'all, this upcoming paycheck, I'm about to pay it off completely, and I'm never doing that shit again. Donate plasma, pick up side gigs, whatever you can, because like, it's like, no, I can go on a whole long rant of like why you shouldn't. Again, I know a lot of this stuff or something like that, like a high interest loan, seems like, well, no shit, Sherlock, why would you apply for that? When I tell you, like, shit sometimes hits the fan in real life. Like, people go through real life, y'all. Not to make this video long, but if anybody comes across this and you might be struggling, please avoid payday loans, high interest loans, all of that.
Here are some big financial mistakes that I made in my 20s, and I am still in my 20s, and I'm actively trying to unlearn them, and I don't want you doing them, so I'm going to tell you what I've done. Number 1, starting off strong, and I know the girls may get mad at me for this, but honey, we gotta let it go. Any form of BNPL, which is buy now, pay later type of installment, we're deleting it. Shop Pay, Affirm, all of it. Shop Pay and Affirm are great resources, especially if you really do need them. However, Let's be honest here. Not everything we're buying on there, we absolutely need. And the thing with Shop Now, Pay Later installments that you don't realize is it's addictive. Like once you start, it's so hard to stop because then you start noticing, oh my gosh, this store allows me to do Shop Pay. Okay, now this store allows me to do Affirm. This store allows me to do, Afterpay. And then you rack up, like I did, over $300 in it.
The crazy thing is that it ends up being more than what it's worth with interest. Even if it's something you purchasing for, say, $40, and you're gonna end up paying more in interest, where it might end up being $47, $50. It's gonna be more money. So if you could save up the money, just buy it, you're better off, because you're gonna end up paying way more than what it's worth.
Installment payments a month. Not good financial literacy. Delete them. The way that my husband and I have always said it from this point moving forward is if I cannot afford to buy it right then and there in full, I cannot afford to buy it at all. There was one instance where I absolutely needed a laptop for school and I genuinely was just not in a financial position to buy it because I had just paid rent. That is completely understandable if it is a necessity. But we are not buying trips on Shop Pay. We are not buying our Shein carts on Shop Pay. We're not doing it. Another thing is the amount of impulse buys that I was doing were insane. Okay, I would get paid and I would literally buy whatever I could think of that I wanted the past 2 weeks and just buy it. No. Something that I implemented with myself, especially when it comes to shopping on Shein or shopping on places that are super affordable, that's really easy to rack up a really high ticket, we leave it in the cart for at least a week. And I'm serious, at least a week. Put everything in there that you think you really want, and by the end of that week, I guarantee you that shopping cart has gone down about $100. Because you're like, I don't really need that. I could get rid of this. And you start naturally doing priority over wants. And we need to be focusing on what we really, really, really want versus what we sort of kind of want and what we're just impulse buying. Because impulse buys are always trashed. They're always useless after 2 months. And you're like, this is so stupid. Why did I even buy this? Another thing that I absolutely hate hearing people on this internet tell you is use every single thing that you can buy on your credit card. No. That is a rich man game and a rich man sport. If you are not a rich man just quite yet, you need to be playing by humble sports, okay? We can't be keeping up with the Joneses. You are going to use your credit card to buy gas. Every once in a while, if you and your friends want to go out to eat, you buy, your food on your credit card. Let's say you want to go do an activity somewhere and it's a once in a while type of activity. You do that. You use it to pay off maybe your Netflix bill, all of those things. We are not using our credit card to buy things that we know we cannot afford. Because remember that at the end of the month, you are going to owe those people that money back. It is not free money. You actually do owe those people that $1,000 that you just spent. And if you know that you're not going to have that $1,000 to pay it back, you shouldn't be using it to swipe the card and make the purchase in the first place. And my final piece of advice, we are living within our means. That is a really hard thing, especially within our generation to do, but we are living within our means. We're not buying that luxury apartment, that $1,700 that we really can't afford. There's a nice humble apartment out there for about $1,000. We're going to move into that one. We're not buying that nice BMW that we know we cannot afford on this little paycheck that we're getting every other 2 weeks. Okay? We're going to buy us a nice Nissan, a little Chevy Malibu. I don't know. Something humble that we can actually afford. Because there is nothing nice about being broke. You heard it here first.
The biggest financial mistake that I made in my early 20s was moving to Atlanta. I'm gonna take you back. So back in 2021, I graduated with my master's and I got my first corporate full-time gig in November. And I was living at home here in Illinois and I was just like, I need to get out. I don't like it here. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I was truly depressed. Living in the state of Illinois has never worked out for me. Every time I come back, I'm like, So depression was really, really beating me up. So that's part of why I wanted to go. But my job was remote. I could work from anywhere in the world, okay? That was the point that just didn't make sense. However, it was my first full-time job, first corporate gig, so I was trying to like be a little less risque about things, but I could have worked from anywhere in the world, okay? Because I went to Nigeria in December. After I got that job in November, I went to Nigeria in December. I was working from my village. Everything was fine. However, still something didn't click, and I was looking for apartments while I was there in November. And my dad was even telling me like, what is the rush? Just stay, save money. Like, why are you rushing this and third? I was just like, I cannot be in Chicago anymore. Fast forward, while I was in Nigeria, I found a place in Buckhead, $1,550 or something, like about $1,600 give or take base rent. I said, absolutely, that was the cheapest thing I found. 2 months free. Yes. So you guys, I left Nigeria. Luckily for me, my flight layover was in ATL. So went to ATL, signed my lease, picked up my keys, left my suitcase, moved things there, went back to Chicago, came back to Atlanta literally 2 days later, moved more things in there, and then I went back to Nigeria. I went back to Nigeria while I had an apartment, guaranteed 2 months free. I had an apartment. I was ordering furniture, all that stuff while I was in Nigeria. And I was just like, why didn't I just wait? Like, I could have just waited. I didn't have to get the apartment. Like, I just literally keep thinking, my dad literally was telling me, what is the rush, what is the rush? But I was just like, I gotta go. I could have stayed in Nigeria. Not only could I have stayed in Nigeria, I could have gone to the UK to stay with my mother. I don't know. To Atlanta, honestly, I've met the best people, best friends, lifelong friends in ATL. Don't regret that part. Like, I was going to move to Atlanta regardless. I just should have waited till like maybe April, because not only did I move, by May I was in Jamaica. I was traveling, I was doing all these things. I was barely making 60K. I was doing all these things on my 60K salary, paying rent, living, trying to furnish. Mind you, I already had credit card bills from before moving, so the credit card just kept adding up. Everything has worked out for me. However, if I could go back and do it again, I would wait to live at home while earning a full-time salary before I move out. Because even just feeding yourself, the buying of the furniture, then everybody, like when I first moved, because I'm in a new city, everybody's like, let's go get drinks, let's go to brunch. I literally brunched my life away in Atlanta. And I had the best time though.
2026 has been a year of financial mistakes, so I'm gonna give you my biggest financial mistakes that I made so far. Number one is moving into a luxury apartment for my first apartment. I absolutely love the place, but I am paying a lot for a place that I'm rarely at. And on top of that, I didn't do enough research on the area and where I was moving to. I just saw a luxury apartment, saw that it was nice and had crazy amenities, and I just went for it. But going for it is costing me a lot of money. Do I mind? Not so much, because my income is high, but it is annoying to see that much money leave my bank account. The next thing is not locking in on my food spend. Almost every single meal I am eating out. Now I compensate with this by only eating 1 to 2 times a day, but it really does suck in the big 2026 when going out to eat or just getting Chipotle costs like $12 to $20. And it definitely adds up. I really need to lock in on just cooking and eating at home. And finally, one of the worst decisions that I made this year so far is rushing into things. A lot of people on TikTok tell you what to do with your money. Invest here, put your money there, it needs to be doing this. But sometimes taking a beat, waiting, and really analyzing the math on certain things is so much better than rushing into something. Me taking the advice of some influencer right away to invest into this stock or ETF and do that, and even the people in my life that are like, invest in real estate here and invest here, and sometimes you have to just take a beat, see if you could actually even afford the investment, and take things slow. This year, I feel like I have been rushing into so much because I want to be successful way earlier than everybody else. But with that comes the fact that I'm rushing into a lot of things. I'm rushing into an apartment. I'm rushing into buying real estate. In my market, I, by the grace of God, got approved for a mortgage, like literally yesterday. It's 10% down on a $500,000 house. That's 50 grand. Tack on another 30 grand in closing costs. That's about $80,000 that I have to come out of pocket. I ended off 2025 with 80 grand. And it took me basically a year to get that. Now I have, about double that. I have 160, but still I have to be careful with the decisions that I'm making. They may be good decisions from the perspective of where I'm sitting right now, but is it gonna be a good decision long term? Let me know some of the biggest mistakes you made in 2026 so far.
I made this mistake for months, and if you don't want to make the same mistake as me, listen up, all right? So this mistake is about debt. So with my debt and car loan, I was making payments on it for months, regular payments. And if you want to save millions, possibly billions, it really just depends. You want to make sure you're not doing the same mistake right here. So when I was making my payments, I was just sending them regular until I found out a little thing on TikTok called principal payments. So whenever you're making these payments on your debt and your loan and different things like that, if you don't do principal only payments, you will be paying mostly interest. So your money is technically still going nowhere and not bringing down that debt and loan. So what I have learned through TikTok and social media platforms like myself is do principal only payments, pay off debt as fast as you can, and it could potentially help you save thousands or millions of dollars. So if you want more information like this, follow me, save this video, and wait for the next one.
When I was 21 years old, I made one of the worst financial decisions ever of my life. But the good thing about mistakes, bro, is you don't have to go through it to learn from it. So I'm going to tell you what I did so you don't do it. Now, when I was 21 years old, I took out a $2,500 line of credit. And you're probably wondering why, okay? A dog. I took out $2,500 for a Siberian Husky puppy from a pet store. Now, I did that because I graduated college and I was going back home to my pop's house before I went overseas to play basketball. I didn't know where I was going yet, so I had to go back to the crib first. At the time, we didn't have any dogs in the house. Now, I grew up with dogs. Ever since I was a shorty, I had dogs. We've always had dogs. But at this particular time, we had 2 German Shepherds who had just passed away. So no dogs in the house. I seen the Siberian Husky at the pet store. I fell in love with him and I took out a $2,500 credit line that they approved me immediately for, and I ended up getting a dog. Now, that was one of the worst financial decisions I've ever made in my life because I realized that I didn't pay that $2,500 at once. I paid $100 a month on that dog until it was paid off. And sometimes I was making payments and we didn't even have a dog no more. So I'm telling y'all now, if y'all want a dog, do not go take out a line of credit for that dog, especially not $2,500, especially not for a Siberian Husky. The crazy part about it though is literally 2 to 3 weeks later, I got my dad 2 more German Shepherds, one great one for like $500, and I think the other one was like $400, and they was like 1 year old. So 2 dogs for $900 versus 1 little puppy for $2,500. I never do it again. One of the worst financial decisions in my life, but I'm telling y'all this so y'all don't make the same mistake.
One of the worst financial mistakes I made was taking out student loans for living expenses. So hear me out, okay? I had a valid reason. I wouldn't say I was kicked out, right? But I was living in such like a toxic environment and I needed to escape really bad. I had some scholarship my first year, but I didn't have enough money for dorm and tuition and to be able to live. I had a job on campus paying $8.75. I was working at the Chili's on campus, but it just was not enough to like live. So every semester I took like an extra $2,500 of student loans so I can have refund because my scholarship and my tuition was going to be covered. So I needed an extra $2,500. So I'll take out student loans to be able to live off of that because I had no help financially. I didn't have a home. I didn't have nowhere to go. I remember one semester it was Thanksgiving. I didn't go home for Thanksgiving because I literally had no home to go to. So I was like, okay, so if I needed some extra money, Chili's was paying $8.75 and I only had 15 hours a week and sometimes they wouldn't put me on a schedule. So I did what I had to do. So I took out more money than I needed to be able to survive and live off of. And now that I'm thinking about it, every time like I pay my student loans, I'm just like, dang, I can't believe this is what I had to resort to be able to survive. But then it's like, in a way, I'm grateful that that was an option for me. But now that I'm older and thinking about it, I'm like, dang, that was like one of the worst financial decisions that I could make. But when you're 18, 19 years old on your own with no help, it's the only way that I'm gonna be able to get some extra money to be able to take care of myself. So
big financial mistakes. So a lot of people gotta just really make hard decisions on whether or not they should just jump into certain purchases, and if it's gonna make big huge consequences at the end where they're gonna end up having to pay off something that they really didn't need, you know. But if it's really important and it's something you need, if you're able to save up the money to purchase it, it will be a lot better than trying to create a loan and finance it. So this is some good videos here with some lessons right here for some people, young people today, getting ready to make decisions on whether they want to create debt. Not everybody wants to create debt though, but it's just something that happens, you know. When you see stuff that you really want, you know, you might have to finance it. But hopefully, if you're able to save up for it, it'd be so much better. So let me know what you think about these videos. If this is something that happened to you, you created debt, you know, had some financial mistakes that you really wish you would have avoided, and now you're having to pay on it, and you know, it's rough, but you're doing it, or you're not doing it. Let me know. And if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And I want to say thank you for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.